Carry on is here.
I can try to man the door for you too.
Yeah, man the door for me. I want to send out an email real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. Welcome, guys. I love seeing people on here early. It's overachievers here. Love it. Um, yeah, feel free to turn on your camera if you're game to say hi. Always great to see some smiley faces
Yeah, I
there.
don't like those shy people. I want everybody's camera. I wish there was a setting that said turn everybody's camera on.
Force camera on.
Force camera.
That'd be entertaining at least. Uh, all right, everybody.
You see everybody in their pajamas and stuff.
Right. We'll get started here in just a minute. If you want to jump in the chat, throw in where you're based out of. That's always a great place to start. We again, as David can talk about all day, partnering up is a massive indicator on if you're going to be successful long term in this business, right? So use this as an opportunity to do that. Jump in the chat. I'll say I'm in St. Louis, so if anybody is in the St. Louis area or investing in St. Louis, Missouri, always looking to team up there. Uh, David, I assume you're just in at home today, right?
I'm
Looks like
doing
the home
what?
balcony. You're just at home today, right? Looks like the home
I
balcony.
I am, yeah.
Nice. There we go. We got
I am.
Dallas.
Home.
Fantastic.
I think this is gonna work. Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, feel free, guys, if you can jump in there, say where you're based out of. Use this again.
Hey, Diana's here.
There we go. Use this as a chance to team up with each other here. Um, and also maybe put in there as well if you've done any deals, that's great. I would guess most people jumping on are probably on the newbie side or first couple deals, but always love to know that if anybody's more experienced, and I'm happy to give like some deeper dive stuff on that too. Done deals. There we go, Michael. Awesome. If you mind putting, are you how is it more or less than 10? I'd love to know like how advanced you are looking here, but. All right.
Diana's got experience in everything.
There we
Really?
go. More than 10. Awesome, Michael. Cool. Yep. I'll try to give some deeper dive stuff then too. All right, everybody.
Yeah, let's give it a couple minutes, get everybody in here.
Yeah, love it. Fantastic. Got some newbies in here. Fantastic. Yeah, if you can put in again for the people who just jumped in, if you can put in the chat where you're based out of, where your experience level, have you done deals or not? That's always super helpful. There we go. Chicago looking for deals. Fantastic. New York. Again, I'm in St. Louis area, so if anybody's out here or investing out here, I'm always looking to team up here.
So let me introduce real quick. This is Matt.
Hey,
Matt Camp
Hi,
with
Matt.
with with
hey, everybody.
DealMachine. Matt and I have we've done a lot of webinars and stuff together. Every time Matt comes to Florida, we go out and have some seafood or beer or something because he likes getting away from the family and coming to Florida. So.
Quick little trips. See, the seafood in St. Louis isn't quite as good, so.
No. So, but Matt's a great guy, and you guys all know that I talk about DealMachine a lot because it's a great software to use if you're in real estate. I driving for dollars is so look at there's a hat.
Oh, amazing. Nice. Love that. Fantastic.
I if you guys know my story, I started in wholesaling with driving for dollars, and when I was looking at the different strategies and like cold calling people and sending out mail and all that, I'd been in the mortgage industry for a long time and been in sales a long time, and I didn't want to sit behind my computer and just cold call people. It wasn't what I was looking for. I'm like, I want to hit the streets. I want to go out, like find properties that are obviously distressed. I know there's something going on, and doing that. And that strategy worked really well for me, right? Just, amazingly well. So I've always promoted it, right? And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with cold calling, and there's nothing, if you've got the money to send mail and all that stuff. But driving for dollars, you can build such a great list of properties, And even if they happen, some of those properties happen to be somebody on somebody else's, vacant list or absentee list, the fact that you're by the property, you maybe, leave a note on the door, you send them a postcard of a picture of the property and all that, it makes it more personal. It's like, this person was at my house, right? And left me a note. It's not a piece of junk mail. It's not a spam call. It's they know you're more serious because you were by there. So with that said, when I started, I was brand new, never done a wholesale deal in my life. I went out and I said, I'm going to hit this hard. I'm going to drive for dollars and I'm going to just go hard until I get a deal, right? So every day I got in the car, I'd go get a coffee and I'd start driving for dollars. And I drive until, early afternoon. I'd stop and have a sandwich and then I drive for a few more hours. I put 6 deals under contract in my first 30 days. Closed 5 of them. One of them was next to a railroad track and nobody wanted to buy it from me. But 5 deals in 30 days because of driving for dollars and because I committed to go out and do it. Right. And I talked to a lot of people and they're like, oh, you say drive for dollars. And I went out and I found like 4 properties and I put notes on the door. You've got to do more than 4. I'm going to tell you right now, this is anything you do in wholesaling, we're marketing, right? And it's like, it's like if you had a T-Mobile phone store and, you just got one person to come into the door, right? And they're like, yeah, I'm not really looking for a phone right now, but, nice store you have here. You're trying to do this in volume, right? You want to get to as many people that have a distressed property that they're looking for something to do with it as possible. So you don't want to just, put a note on 1 door or 3 doors. I mean, you want to put it on as many as you can, hundreds of doors, right? And just keep going and keep going. And if you have that mindset and forget about like, don't focus on one, focus on, the procedure, the process of doing it, finding a property, putting it on my list, sending them the note, trying to call them, trying to email them next, right? And do another one and then next and then next. And don't worry about like, oh, I hope this one particular one calls me. Just keep doing next and next and next. And eventually that phone's going to start to ring and you're going to be like, you know what? I'm going to keep doing this. This is working, right? So that's my driving for dollars. I went on a rant there, Matt.
Love that. No,
But
that's a great place to start.
it's I'm trying to express to you why I think driving for dollars is important. It's because it works. If you commit to it and you're like, don't care about the outcome. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm supposed to do, then that's going to turn into calls. It's going to turn into conversations. It's going to turn into going to walk through properties and talk to owners, which is going to result in deals. There's no 2 ways about it. If you do it, and if you do it consistently, it is going to turn into deals.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think you nailed it, David. I mean, the talking about it being a numbers game. I mean, that in the end, like you said, we're marketing, from that perspective. It's all about how do you fill the funnel with the highest quality leads out there? How do you, consistently get in front of them? We're going to teach you guys through this challenge how to use technology to aid you with this. Are we sending out the recording for this too? Hugh asked down there.
Yeah, I just getting ready to respond.
Awesome.
Yes,
Cool.
it's recording. And for everybody on here not in wholesaling partners already, go to my.wholesalingpartners.com, sign up, and I'm going to put the replays in there. Okay, they'll be in the community.
Yep, I'll throw that link in the chat here for you guys too. But yeah, absolutely, like I think you nailed it. Where hey, it's a strategy that's worked. Literally, I mean, there's been literally hundreds of thousands of transactions done by people doing this process. It's been around forever. It's not, we're not reinventing the wheel by any means in terms of the process. It's okay. Let's teach you that playbook of exactly the best practices we've seen honed over the last 7, 8 years. We've had over 10,000 deals done using the DealMachine app. Let me share with you guys exactly what they're doing, the playbook they're taking. We love if you want to try DealMachine throughout this thing, we're going to be giving you as much free stuff as possible to use technology to execute on this stuff. But regardless, like you're going to have that playbook, whether you're using technology or not, to go out there and do your first deal, do many deals after that. If and for the people who are on here, I know we had who was it that had 10, Michael, 10 plus deals, fantastic. Hopefully we'll share this playbook to show you, hey, here's how you can be thinking about another lead source, another lead generation machine that you can build, and whether it's you yourself doing it or that next level is bringing other people to help you, which I think fits really well with that wholesaling partners theme, right? Teaming up and being able to do this together. All of that we're going to be sharing with you guys through this challenge, and excited to dig into the exactly like how to's on all of this stuff. So
on the point that you brought up, when I started driving for dollars, as I mentioned, I didn't have DealMachine. It was before DealMachine. I didn't have the technology that is available today. I think if I would have had the technology, I would have done more deals. But you do not need DealMachine to do this challenge. It's suggested, right? It's going to help you because it's got, and Matt's going to get into it, but it's got owner information, got owner emails, it's got owner phone numbers, all the property data, and help you comp the properties and all that. But you do not need it. The challenge is to take action. I want people just to do it, just to get out and take action. So
yeah, and if you do want to try it, I see Will here. Will, if you do want to try it, feel free to just email me. I'll make sure maybe there's something going on there with the version that's on your phone or something. Just matt@dealmachine.com. Email me direct, and I'll make sure my team helps you out there as well if you do want to try it. So we are going to give you a bunch of free bonuses with this too. So because you're in this challenge, you guys are going to get way more than you would if you just went through our website and try to do a free trial or anything. So if you do want to go that route of using tech to execute on this stuff, awesome. I'll have that all lined up for you. Today, we're going to really talk about building that list, marketing that list, like figuring out how to get that machine going, really help you kind of build the foundation of all of this stuff of deal finding, right? So you guys can see my screen here, David, right?
Yep, we can see it. For
Awesome.
everybody, that's a picture of me before I went all gray. So
you look exactly the same.
That's what I looked like when I was young and I was a cartoon character.
I don't know. I saw those pictures you were when you were sharing out this challenge. You looked pretty good in those. So was that The Rock or
yeah, something like that.
That's so funny. Nice. Well, I do want to mention like now is such a great time to get into this. I mean, David, do you want to talk about that for a minute too, of like why now is such a great time to be investing in your education around even wholesaling in general?
Well, I mean, like, all right, yeah, let's talk about that for a minute because honestly, I think any time is a good time, and I'm not just saying that, but when I first got into wholesaling, it was after the mortgage collapse, okay, in 2008. Okay. So I was looking, I'd been in the mortgages industry and I was looking for something else to get into, right? And I started rehabbing houses and I was inspecting houses, and then I heard about wholesaling and I thought, okay, I'm going to jump into that. So, now you'll hear people say, because the market was so hot recently, right? And it's starting to cool down, but people say, oh, wholesaling's dead because you don't have people buying houses to fix and flip, right? Because the prices aren't appreciating like they were, a couple of years ago. Well, when I got into wholesaling, prices were plummeting. Okay, because the market collapsed, right? And everything was overvalued and all that was going on. So, but it's wholesaling is never bad. It's just you have to change who you're going to assign that contract to. So when the market's hot, right, and the market, it's going crazy and prices are skyrocketing, and fix and flip companies are buying properties and going in and doing these big remodels and then selling the property for 250 grand more and all that stuff. That is one market. The other market is when it slows down, right? People are having problems making their payments, values start backing down, there gets to be a lot of inventory. That's when the landlords or the buy and hold investors will go out and start gobbling up properties, right? Because real estate's on a discount, right? It's there's a sale on real estate, and that's when they buy. So it's never good or bad. It's you just have to adjust with what's going on in the market conditions.
It's a great answer. Yeah, and really in general, I mean, we always talk about why now is such a great time to step up and take action. Because I mean, hey, this is something that, looking back, you're always like, man, is there a convenient time to start this? There never is. You're always looking back and it's like, ah, man, I wish I started that last year. Wish
Yeah.
I started that 5 years ago. Like it's something that hey, if you go all in on something like this, where we have a very actionable playbook, you get out there, you lead with action, you tackle these goals one at a time. And then you have this group here to be able to rely on each other and come in and ask questions and get comfortable together and hold each other accountable. And you've got wholesalingpartners.com to be able to go in and do that same thing of being able to network with other people in your area, like having this kind of safety net to fall back on and learn by going out and doing and leading with action. Like I mentioned, I mean, we've had over 10,000 deals done using DealMachine as the tech around it. And the main thing we have in common with all those people is they lead with action. They lead by doing, they learn through action, they learn through things like this. They don't let other things get in their way. And hey, that's why on our end, like we want to help you get out there and solve that number one problem where investors don't get started is they just don't know where or how to find that great deal, how to go find somebody who does have a problem that you can solve, that is motivated, that can't just list it really easily, can't work with an agent really easily. And you have an opportunity to come in and give real value to them and solve that problem for them and help them move quickly and conveniently and sell as is and sell for cash. Like all these tools we can bring to the table, people are willing to trade a good deal, willing to trade, a discount for you solving their problem because you're giving them so much value there. So coming in, our goal is to help you find people who are motivated sellers, find people who you can help, who you can come in and solve their problem. And that's what the playbook we're going to be giving you guys over these coming weeks is training you on exactly how to go do that. So awesome. David, before we dig into the real meat of this, I do want to mention, like, just for everybody on here, we've really tried to hone in on this challenge. We've done this. I mean, I've done, 30 plus challenges now. And every time I really hone in on, hey, what's working for people? What are people excited about? What gets people to take action and really get value out of this? And I want you, everybody on here, you're investing your time in this. I want you to use this as a chance to really transform your financial life, to get out there and add this, whether you're already, involved in real estate, awesome. Like add this as another piece of what you're doing. If you're not, and this is your chance to get into it, fantastic. Like I'm excited for you guys to get on this journey and to join all literally thousands of other people who have gone through this as well. Mark right here is a great example. He transformed his life by going through this. And he literally said, I want to thank you for a memory that will last a lifetime. Like he truly changed what he was doing. He brought this to he actually incorporated his son into this challenge. That's why this made such an impact for him too, as he used this as a teaching moment within his own family. And went through this challenge to be able to take this as a call to get out there and take action. Jared's another one who said, hey, if this wasn't for this challenge, I don't think I'd ever get on the horse and take action. And he's had tremendous success since going through this thing. One last one, Santiago said, this challenge has helped me understand anything's impossible as long as you take small, consistent actions daily. That's what David's talking about here. Is he went out, I mean, you made it happen quick where you literally did, 5 deals in a month. That's amazing.
I did big consistent actions daily.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
I was gonna say you can sub out small with big. That also works. Even better. But what we'll teach you guys through this is that foundation, that playbook of what those consistent actions are. And then it's just a matter of getting out there and making it happen. So one last story I want to share before we get into this. David on our end, our David Lecco, he's been on with David over here. The Davids have teamed up before on webinars.
Yeah, well, I think last week I had him on.
Oh yeah, you did
on the podcast. Yeah.
Yep, I was going to say I knew you had him on recently. So David probably told this story on there, but he was somebody who is I'm from St. Louis with me. I've known him for a long, long time. Past business partner of mine, even really good guy, super sharp. Moved to Indianapolis and used that as an opportunity to get into real estate and said, hey, I'm gonna be fresh in a new market. I really want to, I've read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I've read 4 Hour Work Week. I'm inspired to be an entrepreneur. I'm inspired to, get into real estate. Like, I know it's the greatest wealth generating tool out there. Let me start somewhere. And so he started to go to these RIA meetups and he started to hear this thing over and over again called driving for dollars. Like literally getting in your car, driving around, looking for these types of properties, the ones that have the tarp on the roof, the gutters falling off, the broken boarded up windows, the ones that are the ugly house on the block that need help. They need some TLC. And, that because when you find those properties, that is the number one indicator that they could be a motivated seller. They're the number one indicator that they can't get it on market, that they don't want to deal with it anymore, that they, don't want to, aren't able to transact on it, but need to. And, that means that's somebody who you can go by and, be able to turn that property into this type of property. And David, what he was doing is he would be driving around looking for these houses, and he would, again, take a pen and paper, do what David Frizzell was doing, and, getting a pad and notebook out, writing them down, driving around, doing that over and over again. Then he'd come back at night and look up the address and figure out, like, okay, what's the situation with this property? Like, what's the mortgage they have on it? What's the, is there, is it in foreclosure? Like, what's the deal with this property? And then looking at next step, okay, let me reach out to this person. Let me write him a postcard. Let me give him a call. He took so much time doing that he would consistently get these houses on his list that he'd reach out to, maybe once, maybe twice, drive past 6 months later, and they were getting worked on. They'd start to look like this. And he's like, man, I
missed
need
another, missed another one.
He missed another one. He's like, I know this works. I'm finding great leads. They're, they're selling the house. It's getting fixed up. It's just not going to me. And so David, over time, he had a tech background. Why he wanted to get into real estate is he was a burnout tech worker that did not want to do it anymore and was taking customer service calls literally at his best friend's wedding, and he was over it. Like, he did not want to do this, wanted to get out of that 9 to 5. And so for him, what he realized was, man, I'm driving around, I'm finding great leads, but I need to, and again, I'm finding great deals. Like, I'm finding people who could be motivated to sell, but I'm not finding enough of those people and reaching out to them enough times that they'll sell and give me a good deal for that sale. Like, sell at a rate that's actually going to make sense for an investor to come in and work with. And so what he made with his tech background is he created, this is version 1 of DealMachine. Looks a little different today if anyone has used it. Thank goodness we've upgraded it. But this is V1 for himself. And he started driving around. He started to do deals. Like, he started to be able to create an app that he would be able to easily pin properties, reach out to them over time, really get on their radar, start to have conversations. He built up a portfolio of almost 20 properties today. Is worth a couple $1,000,000. Like, he built his own financial freedom himself. And when he made this app for himself, all his friends at these meetups started to say, dude, what are you doing? Like, how are you doing this? Let me get this on my phone. Let me do this too. And David was just blown away, thinking like, man, I think I'm solving a problem for myself that a lot of my friends have too. And let me actually get it out there. And that's where DealMachine came from. Is our mission is to give everyone the power of real estate investing, giving you technology like this. And so David, what he went through was to create this playbook and this technology that, again, over 10,000 deals have been done using that in every single state. We're really proud to say we're the highest rated and most reviewed app out there for investors to find deals off market like this. Over 5,000 reviews. And that's what we're going to be sharing with you guys is, Ryan Haywood, people like this.
I was going to bring up Ryan. I was going to use him as an example. I'm glad I didn't.
Oh, amazing. Do you want to talk about him at all? Go ahead.
I talked about Ryan with David last week on
Nice.
the podcast. But the reason why I like to bring up Ryan is because he's a prime example of somebody that did something similar to what I did, just taking massive action, right? He decided that he was going all in on wholesaling and just did a ton of it, right? And just went out and did it. And, you can go into his stats here, but he's over 400 deals that they've done. And he's gone from wholesaling, if I'm not mistaken, now he's doing fix and flips himself. They're building their own portfolio.
Yep.
And Ryan's even co-hosting your podcast.
Yep. He was like one of those early success stories where, like, man, this could actually, anyone can do this. Like, anyone can get out there and like you said, he led with massive action. He went through a 30-day challenge, and 17 days in, did his first deal, 400 deals plus since then. He's doing this with his wife, a small team.
Yeah.
And he's diversified in all kinds of stuff. He's building his own, a little real estate empire over there. So, so he's one example. What we talk about today too, the playbook we're giving you guys through this challenge, it can be done from anywhere into any market. Like Cody here, he's somebody who did it virtually. He was trying to do this in San Diego and just said, hey, he was he just found it too competitive for his market. Decided to switch to do it virtually in Milwaukee, and then started to do 3 to 4 deals per month in Milwaukee by taking this and implementing exactly what we're teaching you guys. So Cody's another really good example of somebody who was frustrated, found a lot of barriers in front of him and took to it and did it virtually. So what we talked through today, you can do virtual as well into any market. And then Patrick was the last one I want to share with you, who is somebody who took massive action and he was sleeping in his truck trying to figure out what to do with his life. You went to YouTube University in terms of like finding these videos about real estate and DealMachine, and went all in, and in 10 months did 14 wholesale deals, over 150K in wholesale fees, and changed his life by taking massive action. And all these people, it's leading with those small consistent actions over time. It adds up into massive action. So
Let's talk about like Patrick and all these guys real quick, Matt.
mhm.
And for everybody that's listening, you I don't care what your education is. I don't care what your background is. We're getting a couple questions about, Farah just asked about comps, and
Mhm.
Hank said, I still need to find a buyer. Although, there's so many fears going into this. It's like, I'm not going to know how to do comps. I'm not going to be able to find a buyer. I'm not going to, just one after another. And you're doing that, one, because, of course you have those fears, but it's a good reason not to start. Right. But the difference is these guys that Matt's showing you on the screen here, they started anyway. They're like, I'm living in the last guy you had on there. I'm living in
Yep.
a freaking car, right? I'm living in a car, and I've got to make a change, right? So people do something like this for one of two reasons, all right? Fear of pain or the desire for gain. Okay, can be a combination of both, but it's one, at least one or the other, right? So either you just desire to have more, or your life just has to change because you need money, right? So
Mhm.
it can be one or the other, or both, like I said. But you have to get that mindset. You have to be like, I'm going to do this no matter, even though I'm scared, even though, I don't have the knowledge, or I feel like somebody's going to say, oh, you're an imposter, you're not a real estate investor or whatever. Nobody's going to do that to you. Okay. You've got to commit. You've got to do this and get out and make these calls and do these things, because that's the difference between the people on the screen and you, right? Because they've done it and they've said, you know what, I'm going to get out there and I'm going to do it.
Absolutely. And again, I know we've talked about this and we will continue to throughout this, but having an accountability buddy, having people to partner up with and do this with goes such a long way, especially in any kind of change you're trying to make in life, right? Whether you're trying to eat healthy or go to the gym or, do this challenge or whatever it is, having that accountability buddy is going to increase your odds of success by a ton. So I put the link in the chat again for wholesaling partners if you want to sign up there, guys, and use that as an opportunity to be able to come together as a community, no matter where you're based out of, and really, continue to take action and support each other in that
Yeah,
action.
I'm trying to figure out, Matt, how to motivate people to do this. But what I want you guys to do as we're doing this challenge, as you're out looking for properties, I want you to make posts in the community. I want you to put some pictures of you standing out in front of a vacant house. I want you to take a picture of you in your car with, with your, DealMachine app or
Yeah. Cheer
whatever.
each other
But
on. Yeah.
yeah, but I think we might base a prize on who can, who posts the most in the group about the challenge,
Love that.
right?
Yeah.
And show that you're actually doing it, right? And be accountable um about going out and doing it. And
A
like
biggest action taker.
yeah,
Prize.
biggest
Yeah.
biggest action taker. We'll do a prize for the biggest action taker. But as you all know, that's why I started Wholesaling Partners, is because it's scary to do this by yourself, right? Your spouse might be going, you're crazy, I've got a good job. You don't need to do this, or you're just an automotive worker. You're never going to be a real estate investor. What there's people people bring you down a lot, right? And you need good people around you to support what you're doing and to
Mhm.
encourage you. And it's like the saying, you become part of what you're around, or you become, that your wealth is, that of your closest five friends, or whatever. You've got to get around other people doing the same thing. right? That's
Absolutely.
plain and simple. If you do it by yourself, it's going to be tough. If you do it with other people and start networking with those other people, it's going to be 1,000 times easier.
Yeah, level up your network here. I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah, and so for the challenge itself, you're talking to me, talking me into giving a little bit more prizes here. We'll figure out what those
Do
are
it, man.
too. But with this, so we're gonna do weekly live trainings. The next one's gonna be next Wednesday, so same time but Wednesday. So what, 8 days from now? So make sure to pay attention. We're gonna continue to email you guys out, when to come on for the next one. But each week it'll be giving you this playbook. It'll be sharing exactly what works and how to do it step by step. It's going to be overcoming challenges for you. So, we're going to be paying attention to the chat. We're going to be helping you out there. I'm going to share by the end of this. We've got an office hours link for DealMachine members that, or anybody that has DealMachine specific questions that are head of customer success, host office hours 4 days a week that are live. So, we've got a ton of resources for you to help you overcome those challenges, help answer your questions. Again, we're going to assign homework. It's a challenge. It's not passive. It's you taking action. It's you getting out there and following through with this. Like just listening to us for an hour or whatever today isn't going to get you very far. It's how you take action, and that what you do with this information is what makes it what's valuable, right? And then we're going to help hold you accountable, and through that, again, we're going to give you specific homework when it comes to accountability. You're going to need to post it on wholesalingpartners.com. So that's where we're going to ask you guys to post that homework and show us that you're following through with what we're doing. So we'll get to what the homework is by the end of the training here. And if you actually follow through with that, if you do lead with action, then you have a chance to win over $2,000 in free prizes, free giveaways from DealMachine here. So we're going to give you guys a ton of opportunity to come in. Maybe that number is climbing a little higher here as David's talking us into
Could be. It might be $4,000.
We'll see. But we're gonna be giving away a ton of free stuff through this thing. To the people who actually are leading with action, who are following through with this, who aren't here just to listen, but to really get involved and use this as a real opportunity to change what they're doing, change their life like that. So, I would say on our end, what I'm going to talk about today in today's training is all about finding those sellers and then starting to actually get in front of them. That's the lifeblood of this whole thing is lead generation. And we had people in the chat asking about, well, yeah, again, like how do you dispo the property? How do you sell it to a cash buyer? How do you run comps? How do you, these other things we will cover on future trainings as well. That's going to be part of this too. But today is all about that lifeblood. The thing that's going to keep it all going is filling the top of the funnel with the highest quality leads out there. So, David, is there anything else you wanted to cover before we dig into the meat?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. I want you guys to put all that other stuff out of your mind. Okay. I want you to, I wonder why I'm not showing up. Do you see me talking?
I see you.
Oh, do you? Okay. I want you guys to put like how do I comp the property? How do I find a buyer? How do I, all that stuff. I want you just to eliminate it from your mind right now. What we're starting with is lead generation. We're building a list, right? And that's all I want you guys to worry about for the next week. Let's build a massive list of vacant, distressed properties in my territory, in my neighborhood. Okay. So that's it, Matt. I just want to get rid of the other stuff. We're going to talk about all the other things. We're going to talk about how to build your buyers list. I'm going to give away some great information on that when we get to it. But for now, put it out of your mind.
Good stuff. So for today, I think you nailed it. The whole goal is, first of all, you got to build a list of the most motivated sellers in your market by driving for dollars, by getting out there. And the main reason being, like, you can do other stuff inside DealMachine. You can pull lists based on data. You can, there's a couple different ways that you can actually get a hold of leads and generate that list, right? But driving for dollars is by far going to be the best bang for your buck. Like, it is the best list out there because you're earning that list. You're getting out there, you're building a list yourself that no one else has. Like, you're going out there, and the big barrier to entry is actually putting in the time to find those properties, right? Whether you're doing it, in the real world or virtually, which we'll teach you both of those today on how to do that. But it's the people who actually follow through and actually take action on that and build this list that are going to stand out. And it's going to take the least number of leads to get to that first deal because, you're finding the most motivated sellers out there. You're finding, again, like you said, those rundown houses that, is the number one indicator that they're looking to sell. And then two, you're finding the least competitive leads out there too, because it's easy to pull a list of just, high equity homes in my area and that are, absentee owned or, whatever, and just, be off to the races and marketing to it. What you're talking about here today is you actually have to take that next step and get out there and put the time into it and go drive and go find these properties yourself or do it virtually. And that extra step, that barrier is not what most people are willing to get over. They're not willing to put in that time or that work. So you are finding properties that not everyone has easy access to. Like they are the least competitive leads in your market for that reason. And what you're looking for, again, you're looking for motivated sellers, not people who are just kind of kicking the tires and thinking about moving. We're not making a deal here. We're actually finding sellers who are actually motivated. You're a deal finder, not a deal maker in that sense. So what you're looking for when it comes to those deals is, again, the tarp on the roof, the gutters falling off, broken boarded up windows, siding being a mess, front yard, backyard, really a mess. Things like weeds growing through the concrete, just things that it's really outdated. It's got, maybe window AC units or something, things like that, those old aluminum awnings. I'd say a lot of those signs are saying that it needs to be updated. They don't, for whatever reason, they're just not focused on the appearance of the property. One example I use all the time too is one of our first hires. He was practicing what we preach, using DealMachine to go do deals himself. And he found a house that had Halloween decorations up, and it was like March. And it's like, okay, that's not a huge egregious thing, but they're not caring about what their house looks like for whatever reason. So maybe that's a good indicator. It can be little things like that. Like it can be even things like if it snows, look where the footprint's not happening, where are they not shoveling the snow, seasonally, like where are, what are those signs of a vacant house, what a super overstuffed mailbox, things like that, to just find these properties that not everyone's going to have that eye for detail. And it's something that the more you do it, the easier they are going to be to find.
I was just going to say that once you start this, and at first you'll be, going, half a mile an hour down a residential street, and you're like, is that one vacant? I can't really tell. And then after you do this for a few weeks, you'll spot them 3 blocks away. You'll be like, that one's vacant. That one's vacant. You're right. You just pick up a knack for it. And to add on what Matt was saying, a lot of times it's obvious that, the snow hasn't been, shoveled, there's no tracks in the snow. The grass is tall. You can tell nobody's cut the grass, but often it's you'll find it's a lack of personal belongings, right? There's no garden hose hanging on the side of the house. There's no furniture on the porch. There's no plants. So they might have somebody coming by cutting the grass, but there's just like nothing that appears that would, anybody lives there. So, but as time goes on, you'll see all that, right? You'll pick it all up.
Absolutely. And just answering here, looks like we have a few current DealMachine customers on too. That's awesome. If you have DealMachine currently, I just put it in the chat. If again, you can just use your account and follow this playbook, and we'll be training you that way. You're already a step ahead of the gang, but I will also get you some free postcards that as part of by the end of this, I'll share some of the bonuses you get for being in this challenge. I'll make sure to get you guys hooked up with that free stuff too. So
I was going to tell everybody to cancel and sign up under my link. I shouldn't do that.
that works too if you don't have any leads in there. But yeah, I think like in general, we're just here to make sure that you're as successful as possible. So on my end, that's my goal for your current DealMachine customer. I think you'll still learn a ton going through this challenge too. So awesome. Let's see here. Fantastic. Well,
Farrah says Farrah, you were saying you can't drive. You can only drive, 1 day a week. But if you've got a partner, get them out driving, right? So, they're count them as.
My friend lives in Kansas, so she does Kansas, Missouri. I do New Jersey.
Oh, gotcha.
Nice.
Okay, gotcha. Nice.
So it's not possible for her to do. And I don't have a job right now, but I'm looking.
Okay.
And I work in the city I live in Jersey, so it's a 12-hour day for me. I leave home at
Yeah.
6:30,
Yeah.
come back at
Just
7.
I mean, so here's the thing. Here's what it boils down to. You know, again, when I was doing it, I went hardcore and I did it every day, right? When I started driving for dollars, that's what I did. But if you can only do it, you know, one day a week, that's fine. Just do it the best you can that day. And you know, it might take you a little longer to score the deal. You might get one the first day, who knows?
Right.
But you know, but don't let that discourage you because you know it's you know 4 times a month is better than 0 times a month. So
Absolutely.
Right.
you know keep doing it. And
Okay.
yes, GT, there is a way to do it virtually. I think Matt will probably show us that.
That's what I was going to say is you can also do it virtually. I know that's a long day. So, you know, we've had people literally doing it from bed or from the couch, you know, on their phone or on their computer. You know, there's also the option, you know, if you're in a spot to be able to ever hire a bird dog as well, like somebody to go drive for you. We have a ton of people who use it for that too. That's the more advanced strategy I was going to teach Michael at some point here too, is like having other, you know, kind of outsourcing it to have them kind of take that next step. But yeah, I think what I share today is you'll still have a chance to kind of run with some of this stuff. So,
Absolutely.
all right. So with that in mind, the first thing, you know, couple things I want to share before I actually get into the nitty gritty how to's on the demo here. First off, in terms of where to drive, you know, I would say like, I mean, David, I'd love to hear your perspective. I mean, we see people who get out there. You can use the map a little bit and, you know, be able to highlight and say, hey, show me areas that are hot neighborhoods, show me areas that have a lot of cash buyers, things like that. I would say the less barriers, the better. Like I would literally get get in my car and drive in my backyard, like go in my neighborhood areas that you already are familiar with and knowing what an out of place house looks like. But what do you have any advice on like picking an area?
I would to pick an area. Okay, so you know every place is different. I mean, some places people live in places where you know where all the houses are $1 million, right?
Fair.
Um, you know, when I started, I was in the Detroit area. I wasn't wholesaling right in Detroit, although I did eventually did, but I was in the suburbs, you know, of Metro Detroit. But I would pick me personally, I would pick a good blue collar middle class neighborhood, right? Because I knew a lot of investors were buying the houses for rental properties, right? So I knew no matter what I found, as long as it was a good price, that I would be able to find a buyer for it. Now, if you get outside that pocket, right? So I'm looking for 3 bedroom, 1 or 2 bath properties with a garage or whatever. If you get into $1 million properties or you get into a declining neighborhood where there's 20 houses on the block and 18 of them are vacant, you're going to have a problem moving those. They're not going to move as quick. So my advice is, when first doing this, find a good working class neighborhood, right? And where the houses are affordable and there would be a lot of rental properties, and go hard in one of those areas.
Mhm. On DealMachine, and I'll show this here just very briefly. Inside the DealMachine app, you actually do have the option, like you could say quick filter and show me cash buyers, which I'm kind of getting ahead of myself in terms of cash buyers, how to find those. But you can do that and then just start browsing and see like, oh, 63109 in St. Louis. I have where I can see, oh, I've got how many cash buyer properties in there. It's going to load up. It's going to take a little while because it's a hot area for investors, but it's a good way to kind of figure out like, oh, how many cash buyer properties are right here. And then you can kind of test that versus other zip codes and see like, oh, does this zip code have a lot? Does this zip code, not have a ton? In my internet's going a little slow here, but
It
basically,
looks like you got 84 on there.
oh, there you go. Okay, cool. Yeah. So essentially going through that and saying like, oh yeah, I've got, basically use that as a way to kind of identify different zip codes and how many cash buyers in there. That's a good place to start of like, oh, there's a lot of properties here that have cash buyers, then that are owned by cash buyers. Then that means, hey, it's an investor friendly area. So, does that make sense?
Makes sense to me.
Cool. Awesome. Get some thumbs up. Perfect, guys. All right. So with that in mind, once you've picked an area, the big goal we're going to be working toward, and this doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have, this many leads to a deal. In fact, it's probably going to be a lot, a couple times more than this. But the big goal we really coach people to aim for is say, hey, get to 100 properties that are those rundown houses that you drive for dollars to, and start there. If you can hit that goal of 100 leads, that if we look at the data, yes, you might do a deal in those first 100 leads. Likely not. Likely it's most of the time it's going to be closer to maybe 3, 4, 500. I mean, it depends on the market pretty broadly. But in those first 100 leads, you may or may not do a deal. The thing you will have in those first 100 leads is a system and process down. You'll get used to this. You'll get better and better at this. You'll start to build this in your schedule, start to get, even more just skilled at understanding this and having that long-term mindset. And you will start to have really exciting conversations in those first 100 leads when you consistently market to them. And so when we look at the data and see like, where's that tipping point? Where do people stick with this? And whether they've done a deal yet or not, they're really getting traction and seeing what's next in front of them. That 100 lead mark is huge. Like that is where people really exponentially are more likely to stick with this. And when I say 100 leads, I mean 100 addresses, 100 rundown houses that you have found that you are consistently marketing to. So that 100 number is what we're going to show you guys here first. David, do you have any advice in terms of like goals for lead count and stuff, or
as many as possible?
Yeah. I mean, that's the real answer.
I mean, that's what it really is. I mean, like I said, I get to talk to a lot of people. They're like, oh, I went out, I found 4 properties, or, I drove by a good property. I want to give them a hard time because somebody on here, Diana Gonzalez, but I won't mention their name. Like we'll say, hey, I found 1 property, and that's awesome, right? If you go find a property, looks like people want to do with it and reach out and email them and call them and all that. But you got to find a lot, because it's not hinged on 1 property. It's hinged on doing 50 and 100 and 200 and 300. Because somebody might not be ready now, but I've put notes on doors of vacant properties, and people call me in 6 months and say, hey, I got your note 6 months ago, and and now I'm ready to do something. So you just want to keep going and keep going and keep going. Okay. So this isn't a weekend project. It's an ongoing project.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's really a mindset shift in terms of, ongoing lead generation and ongoing marketing to those leads. How to actually go do this thing is, you've got the desktop version of DealMachine right here, right? You also have a mobile app version, and they both sync up. If you go through that dealmachine.com/toolbox, I put that, if you want to put that one more time in the chat there, David, that's where you're going to get the 7-day free trial and a bunch of free bonuses that I'll share by the end of this thing. But how to actually go step by step and do this is on the desktop version. You can do this, one way virtually. I'll show you that here in a minute. If you have access to desktop and mobile, that's great. Mobile is really the main thing that we're going to be pointing you to when it comes to tagging properties. And, because you're gonna be in the field, right? You're going to be physically driving for dollars in your area. And so what it's going to do is it actually locks onto your location. When you pull out your phone, it's going to lock on your location. It looks a lot like this, where you've got a map view right here. I've got the map. If I start to zoom in here on 63109 St. Louis, you're going to see all these lines. These are all routes that I've driven. These are all, this is a demo account. So you'll see like these routes are pretty disjointed, but what I'll show you here is, you zoom in and you start to see all these black dots around you, right? Those are all just properties around you in real life. Like if you can toggle over to satellite view, see properties like that as well. Let me kick back over to where I was for you. But the satellite view is going to show you like, the roofs of those properties. A lot of people like the satellite view is to make it easy to kind of track and see where you are on the map, but don't overthink it. Use it as an opportunity as you zoom in. As I'm driving down Eichelberger Street right here in South City, St. Louis, driving around, I see a property in real life. All these highlights I have going, that's because I put in the cash buyers filter, right? Let me clear this for you. So you can use highlights on the map as well to really help you identify things, certain characteristics about properties. But first and foremost, what you're looking for is that rundown property, that house that has that, again, tarp on the roof, gutters falling off, siding, broken boarded up windows, all of that going on. And when you see that driving down the street, I can even literally point my phone at that property and it will pop up with the property address right there on my phone. It's got like an augmented reality camera mode on there if you want to use that. but you simply just tap on that property next to you as I'm driving down the street. Got Eichel, 5661 Eichelberger Street. Awesome. If I want to tag that property, add that lead, I simply hit the add lead button. It turns into a little pin right there. Here, let me pull this in. Little pin right there, and now it's on my list of leads. Simple as that. So it's gonna lock on your location again. You drive down the street, you look for houses in real life that fit that criteria. You fit it's a physically distressed property. You click on it, you hit add lead, you move on to the next one. And all these blue pins are all properties that I have added. I've driven down the street and added those properties. That's the kind of the again, like the visual representation of your map and where your leads are. And just simple as that. It's starting there, looking for those black dots all around you, hitting add lead as you go down the street, turning them into blue pins when they fit there, whether you're using this, the standard view or satellite view, and start there. So, again, don't overthink it beyond that. A couple of pro tips to share with you as you're going through this. One, you're going to hit start drive on your phone to go for it to lock on your location and follow you through this. When you hit start drive, it's going to start tracking your routes. And over time, those routes are going to change colors. So I can look at the map. Let me see if I can find those colors again. I can look on the map and see, hey, I've got green routes over here. I've got red. They are originally green for the first 6 months. It'll show you right here. The routes on the map, they're green for 6 months. After 6 months, they turn yellow. And after 12 months, they turn red. And after 2 years, they disappear. So you can look at the map visually and see like, oh man, I drove over there. I did a deal over there. Now it's all yellow. Let me go redrive that. Or, it's a great way to just visually look at the map and cover entire neighborhoods, your entire city as efficiently and as effectively as possible because it's tracking your route. And that was a huge headache for David. Like he would drive around, he'd have to use literally a highlighter, or he'd double back on a house, get excited because he sees one that's a perfect lead. He'd write down the address and he'd look back and he wrote it down freaking 4 times already. And it's like, man, this is awful.
And that's how I did it. I'd go to the
Yeah.
bookstore. I'd buy a local street atlas. I'd get a highlighter, and I would go down a street and I would just highlight the street that I'd been down. Right. And then I would go down. So when you're doing this, and that's a good point, pick an area that you want to do. And then really work it like a grid pattern, right? Say, I'm going to do everything, because, in your area, things are probably, on maybe a square mile grid, right? You'll have one street and then like a mile south, you'll have another main street. And, so pick like 2 streets that you can run between and just go up and down every side street, like between one main street and the other, right? And then when you get back to the other main street, turn and go back down and cover every street as you go. And then, like you've covered the whole area, right? So you're not just, randomly driving around. You're doing it like a search crew and you're doing the grid pattern. So you can, when you're done, you can move on to the next area.
Yep, absolutely. And if you're in an area that there's a ton of properties around you that are fitting that criteria, you can actually switch over to tap to add properties. Just toggle that on. And that means it's kind of rapid fire mode where you drive down the street and you click on houses, like it's going to add them for you automatically once you click on them. You don't have to actually hit add lead, and it just saves you a click of the button. So that's a great mode to keep in mind if you're in an area that, you've got a lot of distress and you want to really reach out to, a larger quantity of those leads. But the simple action of driving around, being able to add leads that way by looking at the physical appearance of them, locking on your location, tracking your routes, and just doing that over and over again, like you are building the best list you possibly can out there. So that's how you're going to do it in real life. If you're going to do it virtually, you go on the left side here and, it's on the mobile app. You can just hit start drive, and virtual drive is one of the options that comes up. There's a start driving button on desktop too. So if you're on the desktop right here, you just hit start drive, click on any property in here, hit start driving, and it's just going to import Google Street Image directly into DealMachine for you. So this is a really, really fun thing. This is what I was talking about. Like if you have a day job or you just can't get out during the day and, maybe you're trying to invest, locally and, it just doesn't fit, or the weather is terrible and you can't drive that day. Or maybe you want to invest across the US and look at a different market and be able to, drive for dollars this way and look at houses this way. Like, again, we have Cody, we shared earlier, he was based in San Diego doing this in Milwaukee and doing deals like this. And it's still better to do this virtual driving for dollars than it is just pulling any kind of list, because you're going to still rely on the look of the house. Now, the one thing, and this is the most common question I get.
Yeah.
Here we go. GT put in there too. We had a few
Yep.
people ask this. How recent are the images? So when you look in here, you'll see in the bottom right corner, it'll tell you photo taken date. So it says photo taken on May 2022 right there. This will show you like, hey, how updated are these images? Like, is this something that this neighborhood just literally, 6, 7 years out of date, or is this something that was taken somewhat recently? You'd be shocked by how often Google drives these streets, right? Like most major markets, it's going to be within a year or two in a lot of these
Yeah.
neighborhoods. The biggest pro tip I can share with you is when you look at a property, you see May 2022. Okay, cool. Well, let me look and click into this and see. We don't have it on that one. See if there's any kind of recent transaction history. If there's transaction history within the last like 70 years, it's on here. Anytime, I think it's after 1940s when it gets a little hairy, transaction history.
Yeah.
But anything since then, you'll see like, oh, let's pretend this house was really run down. And even say this photo was even like 5, 6 years old, but the house is super run down. Okay. It could actually still be a good lead because when I click into the property, I can see the sale history. It was last sold in 1997. Well, the property is not looking great, even if it's an older picture, but it hasn't been sold since then. It's still the same owner. You still have a high likelihood of it being a quality lead. So all you got to do is just check the recent sale date versus or the transaction history versus the photo taken date. And if that photo is still the same owner for a poor looking property, I would still highly recommend adding it. So
And guys, remember, and of course, being on the street and driving for dollars is going to be better than
for
using
sure.
the street
Mhm.
view. But remember that these things don't get run down overnight. Okay. If they're on here and and the grass is 3 foot tall and, there's a window boarded up and, and they look terrible, there's a very good chance that they're still looking like that. Like Matt said, unless
Absolutely.
the property's changed hands or something like that. But, it's still good data. It's still,
Yep.
I rather have a list of houses that were run down on a virtual map than an absentee owner list any day, right?
Absolutely.
It's still a better list.
Yep. So, it's better than that next, like you said, that next, level strategy or the next level down strategy rather. When you're doing this too, it's going to kind of simulate what you do in real life. It'll show you the route you drove. It'll go like this and show you the exact route you drove. It'll show how long you drove it, how many miles you drove. This is actually super helpful if you have other people you're teaming up with, because then you can view all of the routes that you've got on there. If you're on our pro plan, you can actually get up to 3 users. So you can actually team up, be able to do that way. If you click into this, you can also, see like, hey, it's going to appear right there, and you can actually use it as a way to hold accountability for yourself and for others. Like, hey, let's show me like all of the past routes right here. And it'll show you how, if I can click into it, it'll show you all the different routes I've driven. These are all different demos, but it'll show you like, hey, how far you drove, how many leads you added, all of that right there to help hold that accountability and see, how many, just making sure you're putting in the work from a virtual standpoint too. So, that's really, again, that step one is building your list of leads, whether you're doing it in person, whether you're doing it virtually. I'm happy in the future to answer like how to do bird dogs on here, to like bring on somebody else to drive for you. But I think starting there and keeping it very straightforward is the way to go. We're going to do a real deep dive on marketing next call, but I do want to touch on some marketing for people just because it's at their fingertips. I don't want to hold people back, right? I want you guys to get out there and really lead with massive action, right? So, David, is there anything else when it comes to driving for dollars? Do you want to touch on?
No, I think that's it. Just get out, and find as many properties as you can in the next week, right? And load up your system with properties. Get good at spotting vacant properties and just perfecting this action, right? One step at a time. You're going to get into some of the other stuff, but when we get to that, reaching out to them via email, via text, via phone call, dropping a postcard, and Matt's going to show you this real quick. Finding cash buyers, all of comping properties, all that you can do in here. And DealMachine will help you do that. I just don't want, and I don't think Matt wants to bury you with all the information in the first call. Right now,
Absolutely.
we're just let's build a list.
Yep.
All right.
So
But you can go through it though. Anyway.
Yeah, all I was going to mention was, and I'll just briefly tell you guys, for those who do want to take that next step and start reaching out to sellers and start kind of going to, overachieving a little bit here, I don't want to hold you back. As you go through the map and add these leads, every property you pin goes onto this leads tab right here. And, whether you're using it on desktop or mobile, they all sync up together, same place. Clicking on that leads tab, you can go down here and see, here's every address. I just added these 4 addresses, right? Every single one of these, I put in the chat. Is anyone done skip tracing before? Are you familiar with that term? And have you, are you spending much on skip tracing right now? Like, I'd love to know that in the chat if you can put that in there, because I'm excited to share this with you guys. Yes, I'd love to know if you can share how much a month you're spending or how much you spent over the last year. That would be great to know, just so that way I know on our end, like what we see people. True people search. That's a good, if you're, it's going to take a lot longer, obviously, but that's a great alternative for sure. There you go, $174. Yeah, there you go. That's significant. There you go. I mean, we have
what Matt's getting
go ahead.
ready to, what Matt's getting ready to show you when he told me, I think it was in early December that they were going to
or
do
November.
this.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was blown away. I'm like, and I even talked to David about it last week on the podcast. I'm like, there just had to be so much going through your mind when you made the decision to do this. So anyway, you can share it with them. But
we made hopefully a big gamble here, basically like, hey, if we give away a crazy amount of value, will that bring more people to us? And it has resulted in that. It's been awesome to like see the response that people have had. But with our new DealMachine plans, as of the last like 6 weeks or so, about 2 months or so, all of them include unlimited free skip tracing. So every single property you add on here, you don't even have to hit the skip trace button anymore. We're trying to kill the skip trace button. You have contact info already ready to go. So you jump into this. I just added these 4 properties. You saw I never skip traced anything. Here are the phone numbers right here. And we've got a really killer do not call list. Like most properties or most platforms actually don't have a super updated do not call list. So we want to really cover you guys there. So you'll see like crossed out numbers on that do not call list. But when I click into the property, you'll see right here, hey, Camilla Fletcher, I've got 3 email addresses, 1 phone number already ready to go. Email addresses right here. If I click into that individual, and then again, I don't want you guys to get lost in the data because we give you a ton of data to work with. But when you click in that individual, you can see things like, hey, do they have a portfolio? Are they a business owner? Are they a senior owner? Are they potentially a tired landlord? More about that individual. So that way, when you are getting ready to reach out to them and actually get in touch with them, you'll know more about who they are, what that situation is that they might be dealing with, and you're going to come in for a way better conversation with Gregory right here because I've got these phone numbers, this active one that's wireless T-Mobile right here, and I know that if I click into this, they're likely owner, they're a resident, they're a senior owner. You'll be able to see like they don't have a portfolio. You'll be able to see a ton of information, so I can come in and just have the ultimate cold call prep tool and have the ultimate targeted marketing tool. So that way I can go into that conversation in a way better spot than everyone else who's just reaching out cold. And so you've got all of that information. This data, by the way, too, it's literally the stuff that 911 call directories use. Like it's 90% of spam is powered by on your phone, powered by this. Like people use it for the huge players use it for like bank fraud and all these things that are have to be good data, right? So we're getting it from that same source. Like it is tested and true in terms of that data quality as well.
Guys, and this even shows what's crazy is in these owner cards, like he's showing you right now, a lot of times it will show tenant information, or like if it's a rental property, it'll show tenant information.
Or family info.
And I'm not saying like you should always do it, but if you're having a hard time tracking down an owner, I mean, you might want to like reach out to a tenant and say, hey, you know what, I'm trying to track down the owner of your property. Do you know how I can get a hold of them? Not, of course, tell them you're trying to buy the house or anything else, but I mean, it's just so much data. And when is it? 2 weeks from now, for those of you that were on the webinar when my cold email marketing guy didn't show up, he's coming back on in 2 weeks. We're doing a cold email marketing class. But to have DealMachine and have all the emails for these people, and I'm going to show you how you can download that list, put it in a cold email marketing system, and have it drip out emails every day to vacant property owners saying, hey, I came across your property. I see it's vacant. Are you interested in selling it? And for virtually nothing a month, you can run cold emails to people. And while you're out driving for dollars or while you're doing other things, just send out emails every day asking people if they want to sell their vacant property. So, but the amount of data here, is off the charts amazing.
Yeah, I want to really focus you guys on building the list because you can really get into that data. There's just so much to act on. But that next step is for those after building the list is, hey, you've got the phone numbers already ready to go in here. If you're wanting to call or text or email or even, the next step of, we'll dig in next week on how to door knock, how to send mail, all of that stuff for you too. But just know you've got a ton of data, the ultimate cold call prep tool, and the phone numbers already ready to go in there if you want to take that next step and reach out. So I think, that, and that's what marketing. That's the main thing I wanted to touch on today. Is there anything, David? I don't want to overwhelm, like you said. I don't want to share too
No,
much.
I think that's it. Well, let's take some questions, but everybody this week, in the next 7 days, is all about list building. How much, Clea? How much for
Pricing?
your deal machine? Yeah, we'll get free trial.
Mhm.
You can sign up for a free trial with the link
Mhm.
we dropped. What's your pricing on monthly subscription now? 99, 97?
Yep, that'd be 99 for starter,
99.
149 for pro. I don't think anybody, if you need teams, that's if you have like a gigantic driving team. So probably I would doubt anyone on here would be needing teams, but that's 499. It's our top tier. And that includes the skip trace properties as well. So like, for example, $99 a month, you get 10,000 leads in DealMachine. It's 10,000 free skip trace properties for you. That alone would cost over $1,000. So like, we just want to give away an insane amount of value to you guys, really help you out as much as possible, and just give you that free trial to follow this playbook and take action on it, right? So, the homework, like David said, it's 100 drive for dollars leads minimum, right? We're saying like get out there. This is the minimum you got to clear. Start reaching out to them if you can. Like take that next step, and if you want to call or text or email or anything like that, that's great. And then post that screenshot in wholesalingpartners.com. David, do you want to give any other instructions on
Yeah, no, I want you guys to do that and do that so we can see that this is your homework. But when you're out driving for dollars, take either screenshot you putting properties into DealMachine or take a picture of you in front of a vacant house or whatever and post it in Wholesaling Partners so we can see that you're out doing it, because I am going to talk Matt into giving away a nice prize just for people out there participating, right? And because we want to see you doing it. And we're also, we might have some prizes for the person that entered the most properties into DealMachine or whatever. But show us that you're participating in this, because it's all about taking action. It's all about getting out and doing it, right? And for anybody doing this challenge, you can message me on Wholesaling Partners all the time. I've got it. Like if I get a message on the platform, like I get the text message, the private message, I got the notifications on. So if you're out doing the challenge, you have a question, just send me a message and I will respond to you, unless I'm eating dinner, and then I'll respond to you right after I'm done.
Nice. So just to kind of reiterate for you guys too, everyone who follows up with this homework, who actually does the 100 properties, and posts that screenshot on Wholesaling Partners, all of you will be entered into our first live giveaway, which our next training is going to be Wednesday next week. We're switching up a little on you. Next Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern time, same time. That giveaway is going to be worth over $1,000. Like that is going to be a big first giveaway of everyone who turns in the homework. We're going to be doing, all you got to do is that, like, it's going to be a random, we got a little spinner lined up that we're going to do that here for you. And one of you are going to be on here live, and you got to show up live as well. That's a big one. You got to be on live next Wednesday to actually, with the homework turned in, to win this thing. You're going to get over $1,000 of a free prize there for you too. So on top of all this, on top of taking action, hey, we're going to give away this for you as well to take action on. And if you go through and are going to use DealMachine with this thing, just go through DealMachine.com/toolbox. It's 7 days free. It includes all that unlimited free contact information, the skip tracing already there. You get 50 free postcards too, which next time we're going to really deep dive on that, but it's as simple as hitting send mail to the seller right in the app as well. You wouldn't get that through our website. And if you start that today, if you actually follow through today and do this, we're going to send you a couple of free things. We got one, our 4 keys to success when the seller calls you back. We've got that information we're going to share of like a little mini script on how to reach out to them, how to have that conversation with the seller if you're giving them a call there. David, do you want to talk about what you're giving away here too at the end?
Well, you guys, I've got the all the scripts and all the contracts. I've for all the wholesaling partner members, I've got them in the free resource section for you already. Okay, so if you need a contract in the next week, if you need a script in the next week, those are in the bonus area for you already. But again, get out and do this. And if you have any questions while you're doing it, call me. All right. Or text me. I mean, message me, and I will respond to you instantly. Okay.
There we go. So I'll just share this here for a minute. It's just dealmachine.com/toolbox. Again, that's the free skip tracing, the unlimited, the 50 bonus free postcards, the chance to win those prizes, helping you complete the homework, the bonus seller guide from us, all of David's free resources that he's including. I do want to share one last link too. You go to dealmachine.com/office-hours. That's Ryan, our head of customer success. He's on live 4 days a week, every single week. And he's going through, and if you have very specific Deal Machine questions on how do you do this, how do you do that, like obviously you can email me as well. But Ryan's going to be your go-to guy for customer success like this. So just save that link too. I'll share that in the chat here for you, dealmachine.com/office-hours. And it is a great place to be able to really take action together and make sure that you have, this at your disposal. I mean, we have a great chat as well. We get back to you in 5 minutes or less during business hours too. But I want to make sure you have this link saved so that way, if you want to talk to a live person at any time, Ryan's ready to go. So, I'll put this back on. I think that's all I had is happy deal finding.
All right. So who has any questions about this?
Yeah.
Either unmute yourself and hop on here, or drop it in the chat. Cleopatra said that's hard doing virtual. What do you mean by that? Doing it virtually? I don't know if you meant like the homework assignment. Yeah. Have your kid take a picture of you virtually driving on the computer and drop that as your homework. If they're right.
Yeah. True.
But I want to see Deal Machine on the screen. I don't want to see like poker or anything. Hank, you're welcome. Yeah, so guys, that's what I'm just trying to emphasize. With the group, with wholesaling partners, with the Driving for Dollars challenge, with everything that I do. I'm just trying to encourage you all just to take action, because that's the difference in succeeding and not succeeding. We're going to get into, in the next couple of weeks about like finding cash buyers and talking to owners and all that. But, things like going to RIA meetings and networking and meeting other wholesalers in your area and all of that is important. You can do this by yourself, but it's going to be, one, it's going to be lonely. Two, you're not going to be as successful as if you start partnering up and meeting people and going to those RIAs and all that stuff. So
yeah, it's not as fun.
It's not as fun,
yeah.
right? But so but that's it for me. Unless anybody's got any questions. Yvonne, I'm glad you're excited. I need you to get out there and do it and crush it. Need all of you to do it. All right.
All right.
Sharon shaking her head.
Sharon,
you better do it. Everybody else with your camera off, you better be shaking your head too. All right. All right. But that's it. So crush it this week. Message me if you have any questions. Email Matt if you have any questions, matt@dealmachine.com.
Mm-hmm.
You guys all know how to get a hold of me, because I send you about 8,000 emails a day. And I'm always posting in the group, so you guys can track me down. But just do it. Okay.
Great stuff. See you all next week. I'm excited.
All right. I'll send everybody. I'll send you all email and an invite to next week's meeting.
Yeah. See you next Wednesday. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Bye, guys.